Hello and welcome to Formula 1 2019 on the TomFM channel. Today we have got the China race, the third race of the season coming up. And after two pretty decent results in the first opening races of the season, we're hoping for a good race and result in this one. But first of all, I just want to say thank you ever so much for all the support on the opening few episodes. Obviously, this is the Football Manager channel. There's 11,500 of you or so here for Football Manager. But to say that we've got episodes with over 1,000 views on them for Formula 1, a completely different game, I'm over the moon with that. So thank you ever so much for all your support and things like that. That's really appreciate it. Going into today's race in China, we do have three massive upgrades. We've got an engine power upgrade, front downforce and internal combustion engine durability upgrades coming up for the China race. So hopefully we'll see the benefits of these upgrades coming into it. Hopefully we'll see a bit more straight line speed because China's got a long straight, and hopefully we'll see a little bit better cornering speed with the extra front downforce on the front wing and things like that. So that'd be really useful, I've got to say. As you can see, not massive upgrades yet at the very early part of the season. We are the third best car still, only just behind Mercedes and Ferrari, but our powertrain, really, we need to improve the engine. That still is my priority, and hopefully going forward in the next few races, we'll get a few more upgrades to the engine, and hopefully that will sort of help us with our power deficit. Because as you can see right now, we are way down on engine power right now, so we need to sort that one out pretty quickly. Anyway, qualifying coming up first of all in today's episode. As you've just seen there is going to be a bit of rain forecast for qualifying. So hopefully that'll make things a little bit interesting. As you can see, we jump into Q1 here, start our flying lap in Q1, hoping to get into the top 15 to progress into the later stages of qualifying. It is a wet session. We've got the intermediate tyres on, so that's going to make things a little bit tricky. The AI, I think, are a little bit hit and miss with the rain. Some races in the rain, they are really fast, and some races, they are really slow. So I quite like it to stay rainy all weekend, but according to the telemetry, there's going to be sun in Q2 and Q3, so it's not going to last that long. The race is going to be dry as well, but as you can see, we set a purple first sector there, and as we cross the line in Q1, we actually do go fastest out of every single car, which is really good. But now that we're in Q2, we do get a purple first sector in our attempt in Q2, but it is dry now, so the Mercedes are going to be better in the dry. As you can see, in Sector 2, we are missing some of the apexes here. We're not really getting these corners nailed. Unfortunately, I just couldn't quite throw it together in Q2. But of course, it doesn't matter too much in Q2 because Q2, we need to get into the top 10. And once we're in the top 10, that's when we're fighting for pole. We actually do go second fastest in the end, which is pretty decent still. So I'm pretty happy with that. In Q3, though, this is where it matters. This is the race of pole. And this final sort of big, turning, sweeping right-hander, I just can never really nail on China. As you can see there, I got it pretty wrong. I go quite deep into that final corner as well, trying to do a bit of late braking to get a good time. It didn't really pay off because in the end, we end up 5th on the grid going into the race, which isn't a bad result. I'll take 5th on the grid. I will take that, of course. But considering that we were 1st in Q1 and 2nd in Q2, I do feel a little bit let down by that. So going into the race, it's going to be a dry race. As you can see here, Jeff giving us all the pre-race details there. We're going to head into it and hope for a great start.
It's time to find out which driver is up to the task of claiming the Chinese Grand Prix. We're here in Shanghai. We start a lap here at Shanghai with the long, difficult right-handers of turns 1 and 2, the first of 16 corners that make up this 3.3-mile circuit. The incredibly long back straight provides the best passing opportunity of the lap, with speeds in excess of 200 miles per hour before the braking zone of turn 14. Joining me for today's race once again is Anthony Davidson, so there's no avoiding it. Let's start by discussing Devon Butler. They're still relatively new to a sport which does have a high learning curve and, of course, little tolerance for mistakes.
That's right, it is a difficult environment to come into. In junior categories, you're competing against drivers with similar levels of experience, but some of these guys in Formula 1 have been there for over a decade. But I have to say, in this case, it's so far so good.
It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. A fantastic effort from Charles Leclerc yesterday puts him on pole, and starting alongside him P2 is Sebastian Vettel. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Verstappen, Hamilton, Thomas and Butler, Weber, Ricciardo, Grosjean and Sergio Perez, Sainz, Norris, Kimi Raikkonen and Kvyat, Russell, Stroll, Kevin Magnussen and Alexander Albon, Kubica and Antonio Giovinazzi starts from the back of the grid. And now it's time to head down to the track.
points finish last race. Let's aim to keep the momentum going.
So we're all set on the grid then. We'll have a quick look at the strategy. We've got 3 laps on the super soft tyres and then 11 laps on the soft tyres to take us through to the end of the race. You can also see it's glitching out a little bit. China, I don't know what it is. It seems to glitch out a little bit. So there's always the screen flickers a little bit. It's a bit of a weird race. I don't know, it's just a bit of a bug in the game. But as you can see, we're also taking the fuel load down as well. So we're going to be starting the race a little bit lighter. Hopefully that helps us in the early stages. But it's 5 lights and away we go here. We've got a pretty bad start actually. You can see the front 4 Verstappen ahead of us, getting miles ahead of us. And we're on the outside of the track and we've already been taken over by Devon Butler, who's going to be our rival, I think, in this race, really. As we try and make it around the outside, Butler just gets ahead of us, basically. And down the inside is Max Weber, our old teammate from F2. He's now ahead of us as well, and we've had an awful start, losing 2 places there. Going around the outside was not the right option there. It was a really poor option there. We are chasing down these 2 guys, though. We do a little bit of late braking, trying to get down the inside as we cut the corner, to be fair, to avoid contact with Weber. But we are 3 wide now with Weber and Butler. 3 wide going into this corner as well. We do manage to squeeze out Weber, and Butler sort of yields on the inside. We go all the way around the outside and have the inside line into the next corner. So we are back up into 5th place now, which is absolutely fantastic after a pretty dreadful start, I've got to say, off the line. Really, really slow. A nice bit of clean racing there for a change, I've got to say. And we are now back ahead of these 2 guys as we look to go around the final corner, the final major corner. It's a long right-hander, and I'm really just not very good at it. As you can see already, the cars ahead of us are getting miles ahead on this corner. I can just never nail it. That's the issue. And the cars behind us are catching us up as well because of it. I just can't get this one right. And as you can see, Max Weber on this really, really long straight now, coming down the inside there. We squeeze him all the way to the side of the track there to try and get the racing line, to get some defensive manoeuvres going. He's got the inside line. We've got to swing it all the way around the outside. And I think we're going to get some better traction, and we do get the better traction. We are ahead of him just about as we head into the final corner now, onto the pit straight. And at the end of the first lap, we remain in 5th, but we are already 2 seconds behind Max Verstappen ahead of us in 4th place. Weber having another look down the inside on the straight as he gets to the slipstream. There's a bit of contact and we go miles off. There's contact there. Surely that's Weber's fault, I've got to say. And as a result, we rejoin the track dangerously behind Lando Norris, crash into him, and all of a sudden in one corner, we hit Weber, or Weber hits us. We end up going really wide because of it, and we've then lost 4 or 5 places there. We're now down in P10. We've lost all of that in one corner, which is ridiculous. Norris going slow into that corner as well leaves us having a bit of contact with him as well. I don't think there's too much damage, but there might be a bit of damage as Carlos Sainz is right on our gearbox now. And I can just see it here. I'm losing my tyres completely for whatever reason. I don't know if it's the contact, but the tyres are just all over the place. I cannot get them, I can't get the grip anywhere. I'm really struggling for it. The cars ahead of us are really streaming ahead now, which isn't particularly good. We need to work on that. I'm checking out the tyre wear here, and you can already see that we're on, 45% on some of these tyres, which is really bad. My engineer's now asking me if I want to change strategy and go on to a different set of tyres, which I think I'm going to do. But it's just, we're losing places to Perez now. We're down outside the points now in P11. This second lap has been absolutely abysmal. Kimi Raikkonen's right on our gearbox down this straight as well, which we don't want to see. It's just a dreadful lap. This has been one of the worst laps. We're going to dive into the pits as well, but we're going to try and retake the place off Perez. There is contact there as well that might have damaged our front wing a little bit there, And to be fair, I don't know why I'm battling with Perez, because we're going to go into the pit stops here anyway, so what's the point? There's no point battling. Pitting on lap 2, I'm not sure of the softs. I mean, considering that the soft tyres that we've got on now, they're already going off. That's pretty bad. I don't think I'm going to make those mediums last for the rest of the race, so I'm switching it now to the hard tyres. They should last us to the end of the race, but of course, the hard is the hardest and the slowest compound. So we rejoin the race at the start of lap 3 with a bit of front wing damage there, as you can see, in 20th place. We don't want that at all. That is actually dreadful. I mean, this race really has not gone to plan. We lost 2 places on the opening lap. We did make them back, obviously, but on this corner, we had the contact with Weber. We go off the track, lose all those places, somehow lose all that grip as well, and now we've got to get back into things. As you can see, we stayed 20th for a long time until Sergio Perez makes his pit stop at the start of lap 5 or the end of lap 4, and we get ahead of him into the 19th. And again, the next lap 6 this time, we move on to lap 6. We overtake a few cars in the pit lane there and move ourselves back up to 14th. So a few cars having relatively early pits, They're going to be on the medium tyres, fresher medium tyres, but of course we've got the hard tyres that should last a bit longer. Hopefully by the end of the race we'll have a bit more grip on our tyres, but of course they are slightly slower, so that's a trade-off really. We've got to be try and be fast. Again, more overtakes in the pits going into lap 7 as well, so up into 9th now. So actually we've managed to undercut a few cars, because obviously all these cars in the pits, they are the contact with Raikkonen there, Raikkonen and Ricciardo. As I was trying to say there, sorry, we managed to get the overcut on teams in the pits as they all hold each other up as they all pit at the same time. We pitted early, had loads of clean air to get fast laps in, so we managed to do the overcut, get ourselves back into 9th. We're now battling with Ricciardo after he's just had his pit stop as well, trying to make it around the inside of him to get back into P8 here. And as you can see, we're just about making it work around the outside of Ricciardo. I think that's Raikkonen. Ricciardo, he gets us back on the inside, but we have the inside of our next corner, and we get the move done. And now we are chasing down Romain Grosjean, the man who somehow is still in Formula 1. Really shouldn't be, I don't think, but he's somehow holding on there. So we're back up into P8 now. 11 overtakes in the pits, basically, so nothing entertaining. But first of all, we get Ricciardo back on track. That's the first track overtake we've had since then, so that's pretty good. I mean, it's not that entertaining overtaking everyone in the pits, but it's nice to see that we've got the overcut, or the undercut to work, sorry, the undercut working. In the meantime, as you can see, the fuel is, we're going to finish at the moment with less fuel, so we need to get this fuel saving, obviously, to get back in the positive figures, because I've put the rich mix on in those laps to get some fast laps in as we go for a dive down the inside on Grosjean there, right at the end of a lap on the penultimate corner, and it just about works. We've got a warning for a collision with Grosjean. I'm not quite sure what that one's about. I'm not quite sure what kind of contact we had, but we made the move stick in the end. And heading into lap 8 now, into the second half of the race, we're back up to P7, which is relatively respectable, I've got to say. I'm pretty pleased with that. And as we enter onto lap 10 now, we can see that ahead of us, Charles Leclerc is just about to overtake Max Weber. So the man that knocked us off the track at the start of the race, the man that's nearly ended the race for us, our old teammate Weber, he's now the car in front of us in P6, and here's the one we want to be chasing down to try and overtake and try and redeem ourselves. I mean, I can take 6th place. 6th place will be a good result for us. It's only one down from where we started, so I'll be happy with that. As you can see on lap 10 now, towards the end of lap 10, we are probably, 2 or 3 seconds down on Weber now, so we need to get some moves done. A little late braking and things like that, but at the same time, I've got to do a lot of lifting and coasting into the corners because I'm trying to catch up with him desperately, so I'm not turning the fuel mix down to save fuel, so I'm doing a lot of lifting and coasting at this stage to try and sort of save fuel a little bit, but also try and catch up with Weber. And as you can see here on lap 12 now, right towards the end of the race now, the 14 laps, we are on the tail of Max Weber as he comes around this long right-hander here, and we are just about within DRS range. I think we're in like very slim margins, and either way, we've got the DRS on him here now on this back straight. We're chasing him down, we're gaining massively on Weber here. I'm trying to maybe think about going down the inside, but we're not quite close enough to make the move stick. So we go and follow him through the corner. We'll try and get him on the next straight. We should have DRS on the pit straight. Surely that is when we're going to be able to get him. I'm trying to make the move down the inside a little bit there, but then back out a bit thinking that yes, we have got the DRS, but because I tried to make the move down the inside, I slowed us down and we're nowhere near him to get the overtake done, which is quite frustrating. So again, lifting and coasting into these corners rather than braking to try and save some fuel. As you can see, we're still not going to be able to finish the race at this. We're going to run out of fuel before we finish it, basically. This is what this is suggesting, with 0.17 laps of fuel, or minus that, whatever it is. So at the moment, with a lap and a half or so to go, we're not going to be able to finish the race. We will run out of fuel, but I'm desperate to get past Max Weber right now, and he is holding us off. He is defending the corners quite well. He's quite a good defensive driver, is Weber, and we're not quite close enough to make the move. We can do a bit of late braking in the corners, but trying to get past him is another story because he's got the racing line, because we're just not quite close enough yet. And on the straights, his Renault power is actually a little bit better than ours. He can sort of outmuscle us on the straights, which is quite frustrating for us. This is why we need to upgrade our engine rapidly and need to get it up to scratch. But we are very, very close now, going through this long sweeping right-hander here in China. And we've got DRS on this next straight, but of course, as per usual, I muck this corner up. Weber now gets ahead of us and has got a bit more breathing room. But again, we have got DRS coming into play. We can get it done. I think we might be able to catch him. We were further away on the lap before, but I go for a bit of late braking down the inside this time. We go a little bit wider, And somehow, we actually get the move done on Weber. Now, Weber, I don't know what he was doing, because we opened the door to him there. He should have really just capitalised on that. But we've got past him as we head on to lap 14 of the final lap of the race. However, he is coming back at us with DRS of himself. He's got the slipstream, eases past us as well. And it's a battle now for 6th place on this final lap. Weber is ahead of us. The man who knocked us out the race earlier on gave us no chance of winning it after that collision with him and knocked us off the track and put us all the way back to the back of the grid. Our hard tyres are probably lasting and surviving a bit better than his soft or his medium tyres, sorry. So we should be able to have the traction out the corners and things like that. As we go for a move down the inside of his contact, I've really damaged our front wing there. The front wing is not looking good, but we do manage to get ahead of him there. We have got a warning for collision, but nothing from the stewards, no time penalties, anything like that. So it's seen as a racing incident, I suppose, maybe. But we are ahead of Weber, but of course, we have got those straights to come up. Now, I wanted to sort of stay behind him until we got onto that back straight, because that's the DRS straight, that's the overtaking place. Now he's going to have a DRS on us on that straight, and we're going to have to be the one defending against him. But considering he's got a stronger engine than us, and he's got better straight line speed, and he's got the DRS, it's going to be really tough to defend from him. I'm going to try and position it in the centre of the track now. He's got to try and get the move done. He's trying to follow us, obviously. He goes down the inside. We squeeze him, as we did on the very opening lap of this race. And he's got the move done on us. As we head into the final 2 corners, we've got to try and get the move done around the outside. This time, he doesn't yield the inside. Obviously, in the lap before, he tried to get it back, but he didn't get it back. He yielded. This time, though, I've gone for the move down the inside in the final corner. You could argue that I've cut the track there. You could argue that I have definitely cut the track there, but we've been given 6th place. That's what we've been given. We got the overtake done on the final corner, and that's that.
So Mercedes have won it, and what a great race it was. Tell me, Ant, how did they manage to achieve this win?
Well, I know it's a bit of a boring answer, but the truth is they simply had the best speed package on the day, and a driver who knows how to take advantage of that. It doesn't matter how much time you spend poring over the stats and planning strategies if you can't keep the pace, and our winner today showed they could do both.
So let's review the updated drivers' standings. Lewis Hamilton takes the lead of the Drivers' Championship. So, Anthony Davidson, who would you rank as your driver of the day?
Lance Stroll certainly put in an impressive performance today. No doubt his team and fans are extremely proud.
It's time to see how things are shaping up in the Constructors' Championship. Mercedes continue to extend their lead. Meanwhile, Renault move up the table with another strong performance this weekend. Well, that was certainly an incredible weekend of racing. Be sure to join myself and Ant for more exciting Formula One action.
Winning rivalries is a great way to earn respect from your team and around the paddock, which will help make it easier to negotiate favourable contracts. Your first rival is always your teammate, but you can choose who to declare as your second. The harder the rival from the eligible selection, the more respect you stand to gain or lose depending on the result. Here you can see a list of eligible drivers to declare as your rival. The more challenging they are to beat, the more the paddock will respect you for succeeding. Just be aware, you'll lose the same amount of respect if you come off second best, so it may be wise not to be overly ambitious.
So after that race, you could probably say that Lucas Weber should be our rival, but we want to challenge for the title. We want to have the World Championship by the end of the season. So in that regard, we're going to have Devon Butler, I reckon, as our rival. We don't want Lucas Weber. We don't want him. He's there as an option. He's a good one to have, and we would beat him, definitely. But we want that challenge. We want something better. We want a challenge for the championship. So Devon Butler of Mercedes is going to be our rival. So hopefully, in the next few races, we're going to see some intense races with him. Hopefully, we'll have a better race than China next time out, and we'll actually go and try and push towards winning some races. Now, we're going to try and do a bit of development here because we need to obviously improve the engine. So engine developments should be coming pretty soon as well. We might look at some aerodynamic upgrades as well. We're already the best aero in the entire paddock right now, so that's pretty good for us. That's very good, but if we can keep improving that, that'd be good. It means we are the fastest through the corners, I would assume, in a lot of cases and things like that, which is quite good as well. And we might go for a chassis upgrade as well, but actually I think we need to improve our durability because we have to switch engine parts out throughout the season, so we need to improve a bit of durability to make sure that we don't have to switch parts out too quickly, and hopefully won't have to make extra switches to have grid penalties and things later on down the season. So I think I'm going to go for electrical systems there. That seems pretty simple. That should be quite good for us. They're the upgrades coming hopefully in the next few races and things like that. Next race though, I mean, it's going to be a cracker because it's Azerbaijan, the next race. Azerbaijan, which is a street circuit. And you've already seen how dreadful my driving is. So we're going to see how dreadful it is in Azerbaijan on probably the most difficult, or one of the most difficult street circuits there is. So good luck for me there. Wish me luck, please. And I'll see you in Azerbaijan for the next episode. Goodbye.